Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to disassemble and assemble the SSQ22. We're going to start by doing a small safety check. Going to remove the magazine, check if anything is in the hop-up. Everything is clear. We're going to start by taking off all the accessories. In this case I only have one LPVO. Now, in order to get it disassembled, we need to first take out this screw. There's going to be some screw glue in there, most likely, so you might need to heat it up first. In this case, it's already been heated up. Next thing is the pin here in the back. You simply push it out. Now we're going to continue with the two screws holding down the fire selector switch on both sides. Before removing the fire selector switch, make sure to heat up the area as there is also some screw glue in there. Now be careful, on the right side there is a steel ball in there which you don't want to lose. It is right here. The fire selector switch on the left side does not have a ball, so we can just remove the screw and it's that easy. Now, the next step is to remove the upper from the lower. Now we need to remove the outer barrel fastener. We will continue with the top rail. We have 5 screws up here. Those are also fastened with screw glue, so make sure to heat up the area first, which in this case has already been done. You will also see that the screws of the rail have different lengths the more we go to the back. So make sure to line them up properly so we won't have any mistakes later. So you can see the third screw is already a little bit shorter than the others. Now before taking the rail off, make sure to remove the hop-up wheel. Now you can take the top rail off and make sure not to lose the O-ring of the hop-up wheel, which is located right here. Let's put that aside. Now you can remove the outer barrel, like so. In this case, make sure that you don't lose the nub, which is located at the top of the outer barrel. We will continue with this later. Now you can simply pull out the inner barrel from the outer barrel. We're going to open up the hop-up chamber. To disassemble the hop-up chamber, we have 2 grub screws in here, 2 set screws that we need to remove first. One, and that's number 2. Don't forget to remove the C-clip. Now to get the inner barrel out, we need to first take off the bucking. This is how you disassemble the barrel assembly. We will continue with the upper receiver and the trigger unit. To get the trigger unit out, you simply need to punch out those 2 pins here. I can simply lift the trigger unit out. We will get back to that later. What we have here now is the upper, including the blowback unit To get the blowback unit out, you need to pull the charging handle back, and then you can simply take out the blowback unit. We'll get to the blowback unit in a minute. Now I will show you how to remove the charging handle. To do so, you have a spring and a guide rod in here. All you need to do is lift it up a little bit, like so. Charging handle is free. Now you can simply take out the rod with the spring. This will most likely not break at all, but if you ever need it, this is how you take out the bolt catch. You need to press in this pin right here. It needs to be pressed in. This should be enough. I can take a pair of tweezers and just pull this pin out. Then you simply pull this out and you have the spring and the lever itself. Now we will continue with the blowback unit. First, we need to press out this spring pin just by pushing it out. Now what we need to do is pull the nozzle to the front a little bit until you can see a small gap in here, and then just pry it out a little bit. That's it, you can already remove it. Now to disassemble the nozzle, you simply need to let this pin here, the silver pin, fall out. It doesn't matter which way, you can let it fall out either way. If it doesn't fall out by itself, just help it a little bit. Like so. And here we have the inlet valve, and this is basically it with the blowback unit. We will continue with the trigger unit. We will start by removing the 4 screws here. I will start with the top right. Now keep in mind, the 3 screws here, they all have the same length. This screw here is a little bit shorter. It is the closest screw to the fire selector switch. That's it. Now, you can push the pins in a little bit. We got 4 pins here. You can push them in a little bit, and this will later help you remove the top cover. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. In here, we're going to start removing this spring. This is basically done by holding your hand on top of it and just raising the spring from below. Then you can simply let the spring out from this hole in the back. You just need to align it with it. Make sure it doesn't fly off, but nothing much can happen there. Now we take out the trigger itself with the fire selector switch. Release the spring. Now we can push the pin from here from below out a little bit. And this will help us take off the magazine catch. Now this pin here is from this hole here, which sits behind the trigger. Make sure not to lose it. There is a spring in there. Usually it should stay in, but if it falls out all the time, just make sure to put it somewhere you won't lose it. Now the trigger unit is completely disassembled. Sometimes it can happen when disassembling the trigger unit that the trigger itself loses the pin, and in this case you got a bunch of small parts and a spring lying around which you don't know what to do with. To get it back together, simply put all the pieces in front of you. And now make sure, when looking at those two parts here, the smaller part here has a little corner on the top. And here, the lever goes down. Just put them on top of each other. This is basically just preparing it for the next step. The trigger itself and the spring, I would hold it like so. Put the spring right here on this nub. Clamp it down with your index finger. Now, if you look here, you have some sort of a small ramp. This ramp is now important. As I told you, put both pieces on top of each other. Take them as they are. Put them on the ramp. And now, as you can see here, there's also a little nub on the bigger piece. This nub is there for the spring. So what you're going to do is, you're just going to press the spring on top of that nub. Once everything is together, press this pin down until you see the hole in here. Like so. In the next step, you align the holes as good as possible. It's still under tension. Then you take the pin, try aligning everything together. Now you can look from the bottom if there are any obstructions, and that's it. You can test its function by pressing this down and then pressing this lever. It should click right back. Now, the last part is the stock itself. To remove the stock in the back, this is fairly easy. All you need to do is remove the two screws over here, which are located right here. That's one. And number two. Now to remove it, you simply slide it up. And that's it. So this was the complete disassembly of the SSQ22. I'll see you in the next video when we reassemble everything back together.